Boxing King Media in association with Boxraw. Early hours of the morning here, just witnessed an unbelievable performance from Terence Bud Crawford. With me, the knowledge Spence at Fearon. Spence, just what's going through you right now after seeing that?
There's certain times where you see fights and you think, wow. Certain times where you're left with wow. I had that feeling when I saw Floyd Mayweather totally destroy Arturo Gatti, right? I got that same wow feeling as a little child watching Sugar Ray Leonard knock out Dave Boy Green, right? You get certain performances where you think like, wow, you know, Pernell Whitaker versus Ramirez. What was that? 89. But then you see something like what we just witnessed just there. All of those guys did it against good fighters, but they didn't do it against Errol Spence. That was Errol Spence. Take that into consideration. Who's a pound for pound fighter, who's a multi world champion belt holder. And apart from the first round, like I was always saying to people, the thing with Bud Crawford is he downloads information and then he administers it on the spot. And that's what he did. He totally took him apart. It was artful butchery, or it was like when you're a child in your garden and you see a daddy long legs and you just pull the legs off one by one. And that's what he did. It was an incredible win. And an incredible win. Seriously. And the thing about it is this. I was doing a watch along with Tundi, and I said, I don't know, going back and forth, I'm really not too sure about this fight. But as they stood before the bell went, I said to Tundi, and we got it, everyone on the fight is right as well. I said, nah, I said, Crawford's gonna broke out Spence, you know, because his focus, his attention, and he looked bigger than Errol Spence. Can you work that one out? He's a man that's come up from 135 to 147. Here was a man that has been in the amateurs, he was boxing at light middle. And he schooled him. It was beautiful to watch. It was throwback, right? And Terence Crawford, I believe, is going to go down as a pound for pound great. I really do believe it. He's so skillful. He's so talented. And he is like, he waited for this moment. He wanted this moment. And you could see it. Just everything was aligned for him. He came out with Eminem, which was done off of a tweet. You know, he tweeted Eminem and said, yeah, I'd love it. And like, Eminem's like, I'm coming. And like, Eminem didn't really perform. They played his song, but Eminem just announced him and that was it. You know what I mean? But that was enough. It was like everything was aligned for Terence Crawford. I've always thought he was a superb fighter. Always thought he was a superb fighter. But now, I believe we've just witnessed an all-time great.
Spence, you mentioned there that how great of a fighter Errol Spence is as well. Why did he find it so difficult in there tonight with Terence Crawford?
Because Terence Crawford was simply the better man. Terence Crawford is about relaxation. Errol Spence was relaxing the first round, but he's also seeming like he was forcing things. And I'm not making an excuse for Errol Spence. Maybe the weight had something to do with it. Maybe the car crash had something to do with it. But, and I want all fighters to listen to this, and it's not me taking a slant at Errol Spence because I know him, he's good people. You really have to live this thing, right? You have to live this thing till it becomes you. And we know, like, Errol Spence does like to party. Errol Spence does like to, you know, all of those kind of things catch up to you. And it will catch up to you even faster if you got somebody like blinking Terence Bud Crawford throwing shots at you and being so well-timed and so well. we just saw excellence. I mean, I'm going to bed now when I'm going to watch that fight in my bed again, because what I just witnessed there was like that wow moment. Terrence Bud Crawford is incredible, man. Right? And I always say he's a good fighter. No, he's not a good fighter. He's a great fighter.
Obviously, the first man to ever become undisputed in 2 different weight categories, historic in itself. They asked him what he wants to do afterwards, and alluded to the fact that Errol Spence could initiate the rematch. Errol Spence did say in his part of the interview that I will activate the rematch. Just your thoughts on a rematch at 147? Does it make a difference? Errol did mention 154.
No. What I saw today, I don't think it make any difference at all. I mean,
154.
Errol Spence is a warrior and is a fighter, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. And that's the truth. What I saw today was incredible genius. Incredible genius. And I don't think there's nothing that Errol Spence could do to, and that's not me knocking. I like Errol, he's a lovely guy, but I don't think he could do anything towards Bud Crawford. And you know, the nicest thing is this is like, within the build-up and everything, they were very respectful. And I think it's nice to see 2 men earning fantastically well in the way that they did. And you know what I mean, and to see the show that we, like I said, I'm left now saying wow. And that was it. It was beautiful to watch. It was beautiful to witness. And like I said, we're looking at all-time great. So while he's here, appreciate him. And I don't want to hear no talk about who's the pound for pound number 1. Okay? There is no question. Inui's a fantastic fighter, but Inui don't beat up guys like that, right? I'm talking about technique, how he picks his shots, just everything. Even around that he lost, I didn't give him the first round, but even around that he lost, just how he was double jabbing, but Spence was on it. And he does this thing where he just has a proper look and he takes notes. You know what I mean? And then he calibrates it in his head and he said, right, I've got this now. He looks at the whole aspect of how this is going. And he has a cerebral countdown in his head and says, I'm going to administer this. And if you look at his body language, he was the physically bigger man in there. How does that one work? He sat down and his focus was so, and I'm saying to any young fighter or anyone who's just going into boxing, just look at his mannerism and he's focused and his eye contact and everything. He was a man who was just on it, and it was incredible. And that's that.
Spence, I believe Terrence made his, if I'm right in my dates, in 2008. He's been a professional for 15 years. Where does he go from here now? Does he go up to 154 for you?
No, he could do, but you know, he could stay. Well, he's only going to be looking for big fights now, right? That's all that he's going to be looking at. He's only going to be looking at big fights. Now we're going to say, then, where are the big fights for him? You know what I mean? Where are the big fights? And as how it may sound crazy, right? It may sound crazy, but don't be surprised if he doesn't fight Canelo at 160. You can see that. You know, the Charlo brothers are there. And he's always said that, yeah, I'll come for you guys soon. And, you know, they so like the big fights. Sometimes it's not even about the big fights. It's just you being consistent. I can't see no welterweight living with him right now. No welterweight living with him right now. Right? Yeah, you got Gerard Boots Innes, but he's the next generation. But I can't see him living with him. I can't see no guy living with him. He's just that guy. And we must. It was incredible, man. I'm grateful that I bought the fight on TNT, and I'm glad that I watched it.
Spence, just finally, because I know it's you want to get some rest as well, but
yep,
boxing has its ups and its downs, and we've had a lot of downs recently. We don't see the best fight the best. We've seen that in the heavyweight division, but this week we saw Inoue, we saw Terence Crawford. This is what boxing is all about: the best fighting the best.
100%, and this is so needed. It is so needed, and hopefully we're going to start again. And we got a nice little run because we're in 2 weeks. Well, you know what? I want to know how this is gonna affect Derrick James right now. Derrick James is getting a lot of plaudits, and he's a good trainer. I'm not saying he's an excellent trainer. You know what I mean? The trainer of the year and stuff like that. How this is gonna affect him. And me and Tony were having this conversation. It's like, I never like when trainers get flavor, like they become flavor of the month. Then every fighter goes to them, oh, yeah, you should go to him, you should go to him, you should go to him. It always this professional boxing how it goes. It's been the same for many years since I've been a kid. But when trainers take on too many fighters, you can't give that energy or that real support to the fighter that you've got. And I think maybe Derrick James has kind of spread himself a little bit thinly, because now all of a sudden now he's got Ryan Garcia. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden he's got AJ. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, it just, and it's no disrespect, but those two fighters who you picked up now, right? They both come to you off of losses. Where the guys that you had in your camps were unbeaten fighters, right? So it's a different kind of synergy. And then and you know what I mean, you had one unified world champion and one undisputed world champion in your camp. Then you've taken on the next set of energy, and then you're gonna have to kind of lift up these guys' spirits. So it's like, it's how you wanna bring in your fighters. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe if certain fighters are around these fights, then we got to raise them up. And I think with such a big fight, and this was the biggest fight of Derrick James's career, maybe you shouldn't have taken on any fighters at the time. I mean, maybe. And that's not me having no slight at Derrick James, because I actually like the man a lot. And I'm glad that he's got the AJ job. But I'm saying that maybe you shouldn't have had, and you should have solely focused on this fight in hand. When Angelo Andy was preparing Sugar Ray Leonard, and he wasn't the real trainer of Sugar Ray Leonard, he was just there to do his bits in like the last bits of camp, like the last month of camp. It was a man called Dave Jacob and Yanks Morton were the guys that did the work with Sugar Ray. But when Angelo came in, he came in to do his bits like maybe a month prior to fights. And Angelo and Lee weren't working on the next fighters. He said, right, I got my sole focus is just got to be you. Because he knew how big this was. And this was a massive, massive fight. Massive fight. And people were like, even though whoever you was pro, you weren't rightly sure. Right? And then we saw genius. And that's what we saw today. We saw genius. And I'm glad that certain fights now are happening for the sport. But what I saw today has made me realize that I just watched a all-time great. That's what I saw an all-time great perform. That's what I can say.
Spence, I know I did say last question. This is the very last question, but
no problem.
You emphasize an all-time great, but his attitude, his humbleness as well, after being crowned the undisputed champion, he wasn't bragging, he wasn't boasting. Yeah, he jumped up and down a little bit, but even on the mic, very composed and humble in victory.
You know what? I think it's excellent. And I'm going to touch on it, right? As soon as you've gone there. When in the press conference and things kind of like Errol Spence's people were getting a bit hyped. And he said, look, why is it always us that have to behave a certain way? You know what I mean? And I respect that, because it was kind of a thing, like, it's the truth what he's saying. When he was saying that, he was speaking about this quote unquote, this black culture. Why do we have to be and all the rest of it? You know, ages ago when he was asked, when he was with Bob Arum, and they were saying like, well, he doesn't promote fights a certain way and blah. And he said, I don't need to be that way. You know what I mean? Meaning that I don't have to be stereotypical. There was no bigger way to prove that you are anything but stereotypical than the performance that you put in today and how you've carried yourself. You have proven that you're a true champion in and out and a role model. And he's a person that I know very well as well, right? So I want to thank him because he's helped me. We was doing a mentoring program with some young kids, and I brought them down the boxing gym, and as a treat for them, they got to speak to Terence Bud Crawford. So for him to perform in the way that he is, I salute the man. Don't get it twisted. I love ERROL Spence, but not only did he get beaten by the better man today, he got beaten by the greater man, and there's no shame in that because you just lost to an all-time great.
Spencer, thank you very much for your time as always, and yeah, we'll catch up with you very, very soon.
Nice one, Raz.
Thank you.